Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another tip of the Mitt fishing report with Brian Kosminski of True North Trout. How you doing, Kaz?
I'm great, Marvin. How you doing?
As always, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble, and it's interesting. We were talking before we started recording, and you actually are rapidly going from not really having fall streamer weather to having a brief window of fall streamer weather, and then it's time for steelhead.
Isn't it crazy how these seasons, it seems they don't give us that transition that we like. It's a one-day transition. I'm looking outside right now, and it looks like the rain wants to become white and fluffy, and it's going to happen tonight, I think.
Yeah, which, folks, we're recording this on Monday the 1st, and literally probably 48 hours ago, you were sitting in your boat, probably trying not to get sunburned in short sleeves.
Quite honestly, yes. My client was red-haired ginger, and he asked me halfway through the float if I had sunscreen because it was in the upper 50s and bright, sunny bluebird skies. And it was a beautiful last day of October. That's all we can say.
Yeah. So as we kind of get to kind of the more typical kind of gray, cold, and ugly Michigan weather, what should folks expect to see on the water?
These choppy, cold, steel gray days reminds me of steelhead. It feels like steelhead, and we have some chrome moving into the rivers. There's also a couple other fisheries up here near me that a lot of people don't know about or haven't taken advantage of. Splake fishing can be really fun, and that's a hybrid between lake trout and brook trout. They don't spawn, but they still go through the motions. They move into the shallow waters. We've got a couple of lakes up here that they stock them in, and that's an excellent opportunity for you to get a hold of a 24-inch. It looks like a brook trout, but not a brook trout. It's a lot of fun to catch them, and I don't feel bad about bringing one home for dinner because they don't reproduce. They're hybrid, so they're sterile.
Very interesting. And if folks want to get out and either chase those or maybe get their steelhead game going, what are your suggestions kind of on a tip and tactic front?
Oh, I'm definitely use 7 to 9 weights. These fall fish are the best fish to get into. A lot of people think that spring steelhead fishing is a lot of fun, and it is. I'm not knocking it all, but the fall fish is a super fresh, hot. It's grease lightning for sure. And a lot of these rivers, when we get a little bit of this rain and the changing of seasons, that flow gets going and the steelhead start moving in. And when you get one on, he's going to be bulleting up and down the river, and you better have your game ready. A lot of us are using stone flies, small egg flies, imitating the salmon hatch that we just had, and all the eggs that are floating down the river. Seen a lot of dead salmon carcasses too. So you can also catch steelhead on little white zonkers, any kind of the white death that we were talking about earlier. So use some smaller minnows that imitate small fry, or the wiggle hex, rabbit strip hex, bear's hex. A lot of hex flies in the river as well. Steelhead will still eat those.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we always want to give a shout out to our friends at Norvise who generously sponsor the fishing report. And, we talk about this a lot because, it's a really kind of a unique way to tie on a Norvise, and the best way to kind of, get religion, for lack of a better word, is to see it in person. And you want to let folks know they've got an opportunity in western central Michigan in the next month or so to be able to do that.
Absolutely. December 3rd, we will be having a celebration of fly tying. I don't know what we're quite calling it yet, but it's the Park Theater in Holland, Michigan, which is about half hour due west of Grand Rapids. And we will have a couple of different presentations. I'll be there tying on my Norvise. We'll probably be tying some streamers, maybe some sculpins or some zonkers. And I'd love to invite some people to come out. There'll be some music and some sponsors, some beverages will be had, and it should be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll drop a link to that in the show notes. And speaking of tying, since you're getting ready to snow, it's time to sit inside and tie some stuff. What do you think you're going to be tying up these days?
I don't know, honestly. The Madonna, twin tail Madonna, something that's just easy to put some rabbit strip down and a cone head. Another Kelly Gallup favorite was his woolly sculpin, and another great fly this time of the year is the dirty hippie, Charlie Craven. He bangs out some patterns that are effective, efficient, and very purposeful. He makes a fly look like a real fish with the minimal amount of material as possible, and that's a fun thing to do when you see it swim through the water.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, we love questions at the Articulate Fly, and you can email them to us or send them to us on our Facebook or Instagram page. And if we use your question, I'll send you some Articulate Fly swag, and then we're going to enter you into a drawing at the end of the season. And we've got some cool TNT swag, and then we've got $100 gift card to Norvise. So, folks, you owe it to yourself to get the questions in there. We love having them. It makes it a whole lot easier to do the fishing reports, doing a lot more fun. And I know Kaz has been out there beating the bushes on social media for us.
That's what we do. I like to, people always ask questions when you're on the river, and it's very similar when you do a interview or a podcast. When you're going down the river, a flood of different questions come in. And then when you're on point or in a question situation, your mind goes blank. But I know there's people out there looking for answers to questions that we can't find.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I see the metrics, and I mean, we got plenty of folks in Michigan and the surrounding parts. So please send us your questions. And before I let you hop, Kaz, why don't you let folks know where they can find you so that they can book you and go get really cold and fish with you?
Actually, it's funny. I've got Wednesday and Thursday this week with some people coming up from Detroit, and they're doing some wine tasting. And I told them to bring their long johns, and we'll have a good day. I'll bring some coffee and some scones. It'll be perfect. They found me through the usual Google or Facebook, Instagram. But I always forget. I've got a YouTube page as well, and I'd love to see some people jump on there and throw some suggestions my way for what they want to see on some videos.
Yeah, absolutely. And, folks, I say, fall is my favorite time to get out and fish, and you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Kaz.
Absolutely. You too, Marvin. Good talking to you.
Absolutely.